But
Get ready, hold tight.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are your lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want go!
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week!
Hello and welcome to episode 458 of the Wednesday Week. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday evening. Yes, I know it's a bit of a change from our usual Monday night slot, but some of us, I've got to say, have had to have a few days in the sun, and it was the game on Monday as well. So we thought we'd let it all stew because it could have been some good stuff to talk about. But we're now here 8 o'clock Tuesday. Thank you for all joining us. I'm joined with Simon, John, and Stevie. We've got a bumper weekend, and it bank holiday weekend. Easter means 2 games. Guys, how was your weekends? Simon, you go first with you. Just get the pleasantries out of the way. Good weekend, Simon.
Started off really poorly, as in I was poorly and I went to Stoke. Got better on Saturday because I went to see the mighty Hallam get promoted, beat Beverley on penalties. And then yesterday, despite the wet start, it ended up a nice surprising result, considering our predictions.
Yeah, John, good weekend?
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was nice to get out and about. We got some decent weather other than yesterday, didn't we? We had some nice spells of sunshine, so we went out, got out in the fresh air and it was nice. Yeah, and pretty much same as Simon, you know. Stoke wasn't so great, but finished nicely with Borough, so happy days.
And Stevie, being the teacher that you are, bet you loved your bank holidays, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, it's been good. A bank holiday after 4 days after having 2 weeks off for Easter has been steady. It's been a bit of a shock to the routine. Stoke was emotional, personally. Might get into that in a little bit when talking about my away days with the little one. Who's decided that she doesn't want to go anymore because Wednesday are rubbish. But we might get into a bit more detail with that one. Ash, talk to me about your weekend and what have you done with Dan Fudge?
Yeah, so me and Dan, our families with another childhood friend went over to New York for the weekend. So we had a couple of, I had 3 nights. Dan was there for 5 nights. So he comes back today. That's why he's not on the show tonight. Tonight, I think he flies back. But yeah, a couple of days in the sun. Food.
Magic.
Bit of beer. Bit too much beer. And I have got sunburn, should I say, because I wasn't very clever. So yeah. So it's good few days away with the family in the sun. And I didn't have to go to Stoke. So that was fantastic. So if anyone saw our social media, the Stoke away was a picture what I took from laying by the pool. So it was lovely. So, but enough of my holidays because I think we'll get straight into it. So yes, Good Friday. Was it going to be a Good Friday? I think we all know the answer to that. But yeah, let's get into it. Stoke. We travelled to Britannia Stadium to see if we could continue our not bad away form against relegation threatened Stoke. So shall we have a look at the lineup? So we've got a bit of a change to the lineup. Was it a bit of a bit of surprise for you guys, I'm assuming. I've watched the highlights, but obviously my initial reaction to the starting lineup came a bit later after I'd had a few beers. So, Stevie, what did you think when 2 o'clock come and this starting lineup popped up?
No Bannon, was there? There were no Bannon again. So, but at that phase, at that point of the weekend, it was almost like rumours abound that he might be injured to the point where we might not see him again this side of the summer. So I didn't know really what to expect. We've said it before, I was just whelmed by it all. I wasn't taken with it one way or another. I wasn't offended by the lineup. I think the team at the moment, because we've been on such a poor run, he had to do something. And I know that he's mixed it up a little bit looking at that lineup for Maywell coming back in. But Sousa, as at times in glimpses, shown a little bit here and there, hasn't he? I'm a fan of Armstrong. I said to my mate yesterday, I know we're talking about Friday, but I said to my mate yesterday, he came on and he's a cut above Armstrong. And I know he's had an up and down sort of earlier part of the season, but I'm slowly becoming a bigger fan of Ingleson as well. I think he runs around, he's tenacious, he covers blades of grass, every blade of grass, should I say, as a cliche sort of goes. I wasn't offended by it. I didn't know what to expect, and as it transpired, it became something of an afternoon, didn't it?
It did. Simon, when you look at the back four that Danny Rule went with, a bit concerning for some people, I think.
Yeah, I didn't feel concerned. I was sort of in the same boat as Steve, really, looking at the side. I mean, bear in mind Stoke's form of late, to bring those players in. We've had a few games in the row. The previous choices haven't really covered themselves with a great deal of glory, have they? With the Oxford game and the Hull game. So, Danny's gone in there to try and change things up a bit at the back because, let's face it, if we've got an Achilles heel, it's our defence, and it's been like that all season. So he's gone in and swapped it around a little bit, and also in midfield. I think Bannon's carrying an injury. That's why he's in and out of the team. But coming in on the bus prior to the game, no real surprises. The only one I'd throw a question mark is playing Patterson up front, which we'll probably discuss during the game as well. So, no, it wasn't a great deal of surprise, really, because he seems to be changing it up every game anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I think Ihekwe pulled out into him 10 minutes to go.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Well, obviously, we've borrowed this from someone who made this about an hour before, but obviously it was, there was a bit of a slight change. So it's... John, where do you stand on the Patterson thing starting in front? Are you a fan of Pato?
It's a strange one because I get why people like his qualities, but it's not always what you're looking for, is it? Sometimes it's like it seems like he's more of an impact sub where you want to get some physicality into the game. Somebody who's got a good engine and will run around and cause problems. As a target man, As a target man up front, I don't think he's as effective as Michael Smith is. But he does run around, he tries hard, and he can get under the skin of the opposition sometimes, which sometimes I think you need that, a little bit of needling game. You do need. So, and as we'll come on and talk about how we played with Borough as well, I'll talk about it in a different light. But I think he does offer something, but personally, if you're just going to play like with a target man per se, I'd rather go with Smith. But I think we're kind of at that stage of the season now, where obviously we know we're not going up, we're not going down. We all know the chant, etc. But I think Danny's now just thinking, if players aren't 100%, I'm going to rotate. I'm going to rest them, as we've seen with Bannon, as Simon alluded to earlier. And I think he's got that. It's not a luxury we want because we still want to be competing, don't we? But sadly, we're not going up now. But so I think he's just mixing it up and throwing enough stuff at a wall to see if it'll stick, really.
But playing Patterson up front, it can't say. I know Ugbo has not exactly hit the ground running, but it can't say a lot for what he might be showing in training or something because Pato's hardly banging him in. So. Why go? And he's not a recognised frontman. So why isn't he just playing Ugbo up front? Because I don't get it. I really don't get it. He's not a striker. I think he played right back for Cardiff. We played him right hand side of midfield, and like you say, we'll talk about Monday's game. But why is he playing it up front when we have got a striker? He hasn't scored, but he is a recognised striker. Why aren't we playing him instead? I didn't get it. I really didn't get it, and it became more apparent as the game went on as well.
Yeah, well, start of the game, we've known that our away form has been a hell of a lot better than our home form, and you look at Stoke, their form as well. They are or were relegation candidates going into this game, and they were in that dogfight. So you'd want a good, strong start, wouldn't you? And I think we've said it, and I've said it on this podcast before, that there's been many times that at Hillsborough and away that the first 10, 15 minutes, we have been the much better side. So you just want that strong start. But obviously 21 minutes gone and Stoke score. It was what I've got down. I've got a couple of notes here because, I didn't watch it, so I had to watch the highlights and stuff. So I'm here, look. I've got Stoke scored after 21 minutes after poor defending, allowed a pullback from the Stoke left-hand side. And Manoff swung his left foot, and Charles had no chance. So that's it. That's the thing from Stoke.
Yeah,
we didn't create anything of note. I mean, you guys that were there at Stoke, I've based mine off the highlights. So, was it that poor in the first 20 minutes? Was it a poor game? No.
I know Simon's just said yes, and I think Simon will probably say that it was a poor afternoon. And I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying it wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but I get that feeling like you just said about the first 10, 15 minutes. The first 10, 15 minutes, I thought, do you know what? We're all right here. We might. And then we just fell off a cliff. So from the moment, I'd say from sort of the moment the goal went in, I'd agree with everything that Simon's probably going to say. And I came out of it, and I've said sort of latterly over the weekend to people that have listened, I went to Burnley and watched us lose 4-0. I went to Leeds away and we played off the park. I watched us capitulate against Watford and end up conceding 6 goals at home. There's been some hammerings this season. I can remember Millwall last year. That was the worst Sheffield Wednesday 90 minutes. And I've said previously over the last few weeks, we've done 45 minutes where we've been all right, and then 45 minutes where we've fallen off, and it's gone one way or another. We've been better or worse second half. Over 90 minutes or over 70 minutes, I think, on Friday, it was as poor as I've seen us under Danny Rule. I thought we were terrible.
Wow.
Agree entirely. You know how they say flip-flops are on because they're on the beach? Flip-flops were on, budgie smugglers were on, and they got inflatables under their arms. That's how far they were on the beach.
Enough of me and Fudge. What about the Wednesdays?
And actually, I think they might have been in the bar as well, like you probably were at the time, because that's the performance they gave. It was abject.
It was. I mean, we were getting absolutely rinsed down that right-hand side early doors, weren't we? And although somebody just put in the comments, they had 3 shots, we had 1. We had the Pato had a really good headed chance, didn't he? That he couldn't. He kind of headed it down into the turf, didn't he? When it a bit too much, and it just kind of bounced up and away. And Smith hit the post, but very, very, very few talking points in terms of chances and goal threat and stuff.
I've just got in the first half, a cross came in from the right, and Iorfa managed to hit his own bar, came off of his thigh, and it ricocheted up, hit the bar, so it could have gone 2-0 before half time.
But it came that one.
Sorry, go on, mate.
Sorry, mate. I think ever so slight delay there when you paused. They came from the same source. It came from the left back position with Hatsusa. I'd hold him accountable for the first goal. Good work down there, left hand side. I think Valerie had gone missing a little bit. He pushed on, and they just managed to get the ball into that area and pull the ball across. We were loose in the middle of the box. I can't really lay blame too much on the centre half, but they sort of held their positions, and I thought they were in a reasonable position, to be honest with you. The ball's gone right through them, and it's gone on the backside to Hatsusi at the left back position, who would not tracked his runner at all. We've talked about other players that don't have that awareness of where the player they're supposed to be marking is. He only looked at the player who scored the goal when the ball had hit the back of the net, and I think there was that And then there was a second one you just referenced where Iorfa's ended up, the shot was going wide, it hit Iorfa and bounced onto the bar. At that point, you knew Marv would be on at half time. There was no doubt about that.
He came on at half time. Sorry.
Marvellous Marvin.
All right, then. He came on. Yeah.
Just on that point, and I but Johnson in the last few weeks has been getting a bit of slack. I can't get my words out. Has been accused of a bit of flack. Thank you, John. That's the word. Slack, I was going to say. A bit of flack online from quite a few players, and he did respond, didn't he, after the Stoke game to a couple of people on social media. It's hard. It's not Hawley's fault, of course, but we do highlight when people make mistakes as well. That's what we're here for. That's what we ain't got no else better to do on a Tuesday, Monday night, have we? This is what we do. We point out, and we will get to some absolutely fantastic football later on. We will. So that's how we are. We're balanced. We give it and we take it, and you've got to be, haven't you? You can't just think. But for a player to come out on social media and it is all is right to clap back at the fans. I just think sometimes when you've not had the best of games that you should just put it on silent for a couple of days, maybe. That's my thinking, isn't it?
Should have used his burner phone, Ash.
So we didn't really create anything in the first half. Second half, Gassama, a great ball over the top for Gassama to chase. He cut back in on his right-hand side. Right foot shot gets deflected wide. And that was about it until, go on, we'll get to it, shall we? Probably the biggest talking point of the game. It was a long throw from Stoke, headed on, and no danger. Charles caught it, easy, routine stuff for a goalkeeper. And then for whatever reason, if that's the thing, he tries to kick the ball out for a quick one to Pato up front, who would have probably, like you said, not controlled it anyway. But it hits Wilmot on the backside. Now, there's been a lot on. Well, this is just about to say, Simon. There was a lot online about this, and I'm an idiot. I don't know the rules. Stevie, you've played the game at a reasonable high level. I know rules changed since your day, but what?
They have offsides and everything now.
Subs, shin pads.
more than sub. Yeah, you get shin pads. But it was. I don't know the rules. There was a lot online about it. What do you guys reckon? So Wilmot, obviously, is about 10 yards away from Charles. Jumps up to try and stop him, either kicking it. He hits him on the derriere, shall we say? And the stuff of Ugbo dreams, it gone in off his arse and into an empty net, and it's 2-0 Stoke. Stevie, what were your thoughts on that? And is it? And we've talked about him a million times on this podcast. The good, the bad, the what we think of him, but surely that is just a slight error from Charles.
It's unfortunate. Call it error. Yeah, I can see why people would say it was an error. I'm not sure. I think it's a learning curve for him, obviously, isn't it? It's one of those where historically you've seen those things that almost change the way that goalkeepers play, where they will have a ball in their hand and they used to throw it on the floor without looking behind them. And you had the old sneak up from behind and just slide it in. Dion Dublin did it once, didn't he? And I think I can remember, was it Gary Crosby going way back? And I am showing my age. Did it at Man City, I think, and had it out the keeper's eye. Yeah, so when you
Peacock Farrell as well, wasn't it? Against
yes, was it Ipswich? Yeah. You're absolutely right. So it's that sort of level of it's something I've done that I shouldn't have done, and I'll never do it again. And it was just a sort of an impulsive thing that he's done as a goalkeeper taking a goal kick. The thing that irked me, if I'm honest with you, at the time I thought, surely it's a foul. Where I'm sat behind the goal, you can't see the distance. If I'm honest, there probably is enough distance to sort of say it's not a foul. He knows what he's doing. His intention, if you go back and look at the replay, he looks over his shoulder and he does consciously jump as Pearce is trying to take the goal kick. The thing that irked me more than anything, and I posted this on socials yesterday, Stoke have cut it and they've done this really artistic graphic of him running to the corner. He pulls out his arrow and he gives it one of those as if he's just taken on 5 lads and scored an absolute worldie. The guy was just right place, right time, and he celebrated it as if he's won the World Cup final. The cheek of it all just got to me a little bit, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
Did you think it was a foul, Si? I mean, in the heat of it, what was it on? Or the initial kick, potential foul, and what you thought in the stands?
He intentionally did it, didn't he? Because, like Steve says, he's looked over his shoulder and he's jumped. And it's that how far he was away. And I was like Steve. We were up in the gods at the far end, so we didn't actually see it until I think they showed the replay on the scoreboard, something along those lines. We were a bit like, what's gone on? How's that gone in? But then listening to people afterwards and looking at the comments, some are saying no. But we had a chat about it at the game the following day, and all our opinions, including the Sheffield United fan, was that it was a foul, that he deliberately did it, and that was that. But it stood. We didn't get anything, and to be honest, were we good enough to get a draw at that game? No. So it'd be 1-0 or 2-0.
Yeah, I think if I can just stick this one up, Ash.
I'm just going to go to your house and do comments.
Chef Cam's online. Anyone having a go for him, having a go at the kid for that once their plums feeling. He's a babby learning his trade. Chef Cam's got shoes that are older than him. And it's a fair comment. He's learning his trade.
If anyone's feeling plums, then you know where to go. If you want your plums feeling. We've got Jay Blogs says technically a foul, but Charles shouldn't kick it and he'll learn from not wait for a decision. And Scotch24, he says, don't be getting on his back. He showed you how good he is in on Monday. And that's what I meant earlier. We can do this because we can do the other stuff as well.
Absolutely.
Which I'm sure we will get into in a bit. And I've just noticed, I know it doesn't matter to anybody who's listening to this podcast, but if you watch, you've noticed there's no social media things on the bottom there.
Oh, no.
So, I know. I don't know why I just mentioned that. So, we do look a bit bigger on the screen. So, apologies for that. And there we go. Cheers, Stevie. As if by magic.
Oh, you've moved now, Ash. You blow me. Oh.
Craig Haywood's been on. Good goal for me. It's Charles's error. The guy didn't prevent him dispatching the ball. Had it been for us, we'd have been laughing all day long. E.g. Blackburn last season. And was it Ainsley Pears? Ainsley Pears?
Yeah,
his name was the guy, yeah.
That's a different type of mistake, though. And he did stop him from dispatching it because he jumped up in front of him. He intentionally did it. So the Pears one at Blackburn was a proper goalkeeper error. Yeah. Proper goalkeeper error. I think you've been a bit harsh there, mate.
Hergel McGurgle's come back saying, Chef Cam, he needs to spend some of that Patreon dollars on some new kicks. Hey, he's going to spend
Shots
some more.
fired.
But yeah, we'll bring this to a close because, I mean, we had one more chance. Smith header hit the post. But after that, it was pretty shocking. We've got a couple of Stoke stats here. So possession and shots, we were there with it. 56% for Sheffield Wednesday, 43 for Stoke. 9 shots against Stoke's 10, so we're still there. But the highlights for me didn't show that. And then 3-1 shots on target in Stoke's favour. With the total touches inside the box, we had 12 touches inside the box. And I know for anyone who's a stats fan, this is the sort of thing that they look at, but it didn't really tale of the tape. Didn't really say it. If you looked at the stats, did it? So
no.
That was Stoke. We'll move on from Stoke because no one likes Stoke. No one likes going to Stoke. It was awful performance. It was an awful result. Bearing in mind we have been much better, like I said earlier, against away from Hillsborough. One other thing to take from the game on or after post-match against them was Danny Rule's comments. So you catch, he did a couple of interviews with the local journalists, Football Heaven, and all the good guys there. And I'll just, because we are the professionals, we've got a little snippet here of a tweet that Football Heaven put out. So some players showed today that they're not able to play at my level. Maybe it's an eye-opener for the new season. So that's Danny Rule speaking after the Stoke game. And there was many more instances of him criticising the players, the squad. What do you make to those comments, John?
Bit eyebrow raising, considering how a couple of weeks, maybe it felt like only a couple of weeks prior, he was saying, "I'll never forget these players." They kind of like showering praise on him, wasn't it? Just how much they run for him, they work for him, they buy into his ideologies and everything like that. And then to come out with kind of a role reversal comment like that, admittedly, you've got to take it in context. It is pretty shortly after the game's finished, and emotions can be running high. But it certainly didn't go in keeping with how he has been talking about the players for the large part of the season. And let's not forget, this is a team that has punched well above its weight all season. Even now, on 56 points or whatever we're on, we have punched above our weight because we have not had much in the way of quality additions to, we all know the squad. I think most Wednesday fans will agree that Danny's done such a great job. But he's elevated the players and they have played to his level. So a few bad results doesn't tell me that the players aren't at that level, when a few weeks ago he was saying that he'll never forget them and showering praise on them. So I'm a bit confused about it, if I'm honest, Ash.
Yeah, there's just a quick couple of comments. And Craig, ever the optimist, so he plans to be here for the new season. Check that. Well, some fans. And Martin Beebe, how many of Danny's signings have been a success? It's a ridiculous comment, and I've lost a little respect for him, in truth. Do you think that might be something that's been felt by some of the fan base, Simon, that they may have just lost a little bit of the Danny Role love?
I think a few of the fan base, probably myself included, have been questioning the performances since Christmas, both home and away, but obviously specifically at home. And then obviously the run-in over the last few games. Going back to Danny's comments, and I think there was some comments on there as well, the players not being to his level. He also has to look at the fact that he was part of the team that signed a lot of these players at the start of the season, and also as well decided to renew contracts of players that are playing in that. So it's a team, a majority of the team he hasn't actually inherited from somebody else, which you can't be said about last season, because obviously he inherited the Cisco Munoz signings and had to make a silk purse out of Savazia to keep us up. I think he had a get out free card, didn't he, after last season? And we did have a great, there was a great start to the season. But if you look at the performances that we've had and the results that we've had since January, you could, if you took that as a separate point, you would say that is managers have been sacked for less. And I would certainly, if there are certain teams looking at him and seeing him as the manager to get them out of the Championship and back into the Premiership, if it is certain teams that are coming down, maybe they should be. I think there are managers out there who've probably got better credentials on their CV as it stands at the moment. I mean, one I would suggest to you is Eustace, who's gone from Blackburn to Derby and turned a team that are struggling near the bottom of the Championship, and is literally, all right, they're on the cusp, but he has actually got them out of that area, whereas his counterpart at Blackburn has barely won a game. I think they've drawn one game against us. I'm not sure what the results have been like since. So, cut a long answer short. Yeah, I think fans he has tainted his reputation, and I was surprised and a little bit disappointed with the comments on Friday from him.
Yeah, we've had a comment from Jay Blogs. He loves Danny, but the statement about players not able to play at his level niggled me. Agree with that, Stevie? Agree with?
Sorry, say that again, mate.
Do you agree?
I agree with that.
Do you agree with or did his comments irk you a little bit after the game?
I'm going to try and offer a response that's going to attempt to be balanced. And what I would say is that I feel that Danny Rule has signed a contract at the back end of last year with a vision that he would be able to do more than he can or has been able to this year, whether that be promises made, assurances given, guarantees, or expectation that he had to be able to do more than he's been able to do in terms of convincing the chairman to invest in certain areas. I think that will play a massive part in where we are. And I don't think we will necessarily know how good, I have an opinion, but I don't think we'll necessarily know how good a manager Danny Rule is until he can operate with the resources that he expects to have. I think I take the Eustace argument, and I think Eustace is a very good manager at this level, and I think he's working wonders in the very short space of time that he's had at Derby. But we are looking at two very different profile of manager. I think Eustace will be one of those that's got a little bit more experience already, won't mind getting his hands dirty or roll his sleeves up, and he'll get into the sort of the trenches with what he's got. I think Rule's expecting to be able to turn a club and provide an identity and a philosophy, but unfortunately, with the restraints that we have at Sheffield Wednesday, he's probably reaching a little bit far in terms of his own expectations, and that's why we've got what we've got. In terms of the answer to the question, was I hurt? I don't think Danny Rule in 5 years, I don't think a 40-year-old Danny Rule makes the comments that he made over the weekend. I think it was potentially a little bit of an experience. There was a comment earlier on about him being young and being frustrated. It was heat at the moment stuff, and I fully agree that. But reckon on. And again, this is not me saying this is what happened. You know, there's been conversations about certain elements of the playing and coaching staff not getting paid. There's been conversations about frustrations between him and a lack of communication with the chairman. All of these things have been building up, and we can sit and point fingers at Rule, Chansiri, the both of them, tell them to get in a room, whatever you want. If I'm Danny Rule and I've been dealing with these circumstances from January onwards, whatever that is, or even before, depending on when it first started to come to light that he's working where he's working, I would be frustrated. You know, we have tough days at work and we come home, we want to kick the cat, scream at the wife or whoever it is that we've got at home, and shout at our children. So if you're working in, if you're working in conditions where you're at that high pressure, that high level, and you've not been able to do something in the moment when you can see it and you want to do it and you don't have the resources to be able to, I get why he's frustrated, but I accept the online sort of criticism that he's taken, because he's called out people that he publicly has previously got behind, and I don't think he's coloured himself with any glory there.
Last couple of comments before we go for a break. Music to Harpo Speaks. Apologies. Music to Chansiri's ears is shifting the focus to the manager. Deja vu with what happened with Moore. And then Mr.
Happy
J.
birthday, Darren Moore, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Happy birthday to ex-manager, promotion manager. Mr. J, home form had been very poor and some selections have been questionable. I think Roll is learning as well. Under these conditions, he's doing well. So, and then last one from Matt is, he agrees with you, Stevie. So, yeah.
Is he still at last man standing?
It's 33 minutes. The boss will be having dicky fit that we haven't done it already. So, some people are going to try and sell you something.
Brace yourself. Some people are gonna try and sell you some things.
Welcome back to the Wednesday week. A great first half of the show. Trying to make what's the silk purse out or a sow's ear into the Stoke game, but no. Back to Hillsborough yesterday. It was looking to turn a bad Friday into a banker of a Monday. Do you like that? I come up with that myself. It was good though, wasn't it? Playoff chasing Borough and 3,500 fans made the trip to Yorkshire for a game that was, including our podcasters, thought was going to be a tough ask, because a couple of us went for a draw and the rest of us went for 3-0. 4-0, John. and 2-1s, I believe. So not many of us thought we were going to do anything because of our outstanding home form. Well, guys, it was interesting day, wasn't it? So we'll get straight into it. Let's have a look. What we got? We got some Borough lineup. So starting 11 yesterday was Charles, Valerie, Ottagbayo, Johnson, Shea Charles, Ingleson, Bannon was back as captain the side, Gassama, Windass, Patterson starts again, and Smith. Stevie, thoughts on that one?
After Friday, I'd had enough, to be honest with you. I'd said a couple of weeks previously I could see us going the rest of the season without winning, and it was still quite raw from that performance on Good Friday and the comments over the weekend and all the off-field stuff that I don't think we're going to get into in any sort of major depth tonight, because there's nothing that we could substantiate necessarily. However, that team lineup, what came in, and you looked at it at 2 o'clock and you couldn't figure out who was playing where, could you? To look at it, as you read down, as you look at that graphic now, you've got Valerie, who would traditionally be either a right centre half or a right wing back or a right back itself, and then you've got Ottagbayo, Johnson, Shea Charles. Is that a 3 at the back? Is it a 4? Is Charles playing left back with Johnson centre half? You look at all of those things. In terms of lineup, again, he could have picked anyone after Friday, and I know that we'd come out and said that we were carrying a few injuries and there were people that were going to be missing. So yeah, it was concerning. Let's just say that. Got to my chair, my seat, sat down at 3 o'clock, and literally turned to my sister, my mate. The little one wasn't interested. I mentioned she wasn't bothered about being there. She literally said, "I'm fed up of losing at the moment." So spent a lot of the time sat in a seat where she's normally up and out of it. So it's been a learning curve for her over the last sort of couple of weeks. But I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't expecting much.
Yeah, with Smith, Patterson, Windass, Gassama, some respect Bannon as well. It's quite an attacking. I thought it was quite an attacking formation, or whatever formation it was with the personnel he's picked. Simon, were you surprised to see Patterson start after Friday's lackluster performance?
I'd have been more surprised if Smith hadn't been in. I think it pointed to the fact that he was playing more midfield than up front. That we would have Smith, and I do, if we're going to play Patterson, I do prefer him playing in the position he played yesterday on that right wing and coming in. He does offer more that way, and it proved that yesterday. I think you put a comment up from Craig about walking back to the car. We actually sat in the car. We sat in the car at 2:15. It was raining, and we hadn't seen the team, and we hadn't even bothered looking at the team. Normally, we'll be coming down the parkway. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. What's the team, Ethan? And then we got there. We parked the car, and we're sitting there listening to the rain come down on the roof of the car, thinking, right, okay. And then we went, what's the team? And then we looked at the team, and there was literally, all three of us looked at each other, and I think if I'd have been driving and I'd started the car up and turned it around, there'd have been no argument. That's how we felt. And in the end, we got out of the car and went in because the expectations were just so low. And it felt like the whole stadium was feeling like that as well, that everybody was just seeing it out to the end of the season. I've paid for these games. The Yorkshireman in me went, I paid for these games, so I'm going to see him whether I like it or not. Or sadomasochism in me, I'm not sure. But yeah, we ended up going.
Right. So same again. It was the same old, wasn't it? We had a home game. As form's not been the best. I think we'd lost straight 5 at home. So you want a good, strong start. I don't think conceding after 11 minutes is a good, strong start, is it? So we've got here. It only took the visitors 11 minutes to go ahead through Azaz. Sloppy defending by Johnson allowed Borough to pick it up in the final third. Ball made its way over to Azaz on the left. Took one touch and slotted it past Charles. Bit of a kick in the gut, that, John.
It were, and I'm sure many of us were thinking, here we go again. This, after the rotten performance at Stoke, we won down early doors back at Middlesbrough. Everyone's feeling like the players have checked out. Fans are going through the motions. Not very optimistic. People questioning whether they're going to go or not, like Simon and and Stevie's daughter's losing interest, and you're like, oh gosh, here we go. 1-0 down already after some sloppy play at the back, trying to play out from the back, got caught out. And easy finish for him, really. Nothing Charles could do about that one. And just at that point, I just thought, is this going to be another 3-4-0? Obviously, which is what we kind of were predicted beforehand. But a terrible start. But we have a habit of going behind, don't we? We seem to go behind, and that's been the narrative this season. Which is why we're the best side in the league at coming from behind. I think we've got the most points for coming from behind, falling behind in games. But it just didn't feel like that kind of game going 1 down. It just felt like we were in for a rough ride. But thankfully, it didn't turn out that way.
24 points we've won from losing positions now. Somebody put out a tweet earlier, some betting, I think it was, stats thing. Put a graphic out. Playmaker stats. That's it. Put a stat out earlier today saying 24 points most in the league. I mean, I'd rather not be top of that league because we want to be winning easily, don't we? We don't want to be coming behind. But if you're going to have to get the points from somewhere, and if you're 1-0 down, you want to be winning them. Bit of a, like I say, it was just a kick in the teeth because, like I said before, 15 minutes, we've always looked pretty good for me. But it could have been even worse, though, Stevie, couldn't it? And we said earlier, we got one side of our new number one goalkeeper, we can call him that now. He's been in for 4 or 5 games now. And then we've got the other side of our number one goalkeeper. For me, I don't know about the penalty decision, but it looked a bit harsh on Svante. I thought it was a bit of one of those 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and the geezer got him round the head, and it was a bit... Oh.
He actually fouled Svante.
Yeah,
it wasn't Svante fouling him.
It was, I think it's very harsh. And obviously, from 12 yards, Pierce Charles came out the winner, didn't he?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was a penalty. At the time, it looked just like a coming together. And I couldn't actually see what happened. And it's only when you go back and look at the highlights. But I've had to look on the replay 3 or 4 times and, really sort of dissect what happened to see where the contact was. And even as we're sitting here now, all I can see is that initial hand-to-arm contact. But he doesn't pull. He does what footballers do, and he puts his arm across. But other than that, there's no tangling of legs. He doesn't trip him. He doesn't clip him. He doesn't pull on anything. He hasn't got a handful of shirt. There is contact on the arm, absolutely. But if we're given a penalty for that, in that instance, we would be seeing 15, 20 penalties a weekend more than we are at the minute. I thought it was incredibly harsh, and I was very surprised. I think Rule came out in his post-match and said he didn't think it was a penalty in his own way. I'm quite surprised that there wasn't more of an uproar. I think if we'd have drawn or lost the game, there'd have been more to have been made about the penalty. In terms of the penalty itself, we do respect to Pierce. I don't want to say like I'm not supporting him because he had a fantastic game. I I voted for him for man of the match ever so slightly in front of his brother. However, it was a penalty that I think was relatively easy for him to save. The better save was the second one. He saved the penalty and he's reacted quicker than anybody else. He's up, he's spread himself, he's made himself big, and he's saved the reaction, the rebound shot. And that was just sort of endemic. And that was the point where you kind of retrospectively look at. That was the moment that won us the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you're being a bit harsh on him because he's got to guess the right way, hasn't he? And it's always a good penalty if keeper goes the wrong way, even though it's probably 2 yards off centre. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit harsh to not criticise. You didn't criticise him because it wasn't in the corner, was it? It wasn't in the corner.
Let me rephrase. It was a poorer penalty than it was a reasonable save, if that makes sense. If it goes another metre or so to the left, he's got more of a job to do, hasn't he? And I mean that with the greatest respect because he saved the penalty in a very high pressure situation. So if it sounds like I'm being flippant and dismissive of what he's done, I didn't mean it. I just thought the penalty wasn't the best.
Yeah, John, you was there. Obviously, do you think if that penalty had gone in, it would have been different? Would it have been 2-0, and that would have been it? I don't think we'd have come back and into it with a 2-0 loss or going behind 2-0. Apologies.
Yeah, I think there's key moments that swing a game, isn't there? And I think if that goes in, it probably turns out to be a very different game. Incidentally, I thought the referee was horrific, to be honest. I thought he was terrible. He was blowing up for absolutely everything. I think both sets of fans would have been frustrated with him, and we've already kind of decided, it wasn't a penalty. But yeah, I think if he doesn't save that and it's 2-0, I think we're looking at a different game there. Especially with the troubles we've had at home and not winning since New Year's Day prior to Monday. So yeah, props to Pierce. He guessed the right way, which is half the job, isn't it? He guessed the right way, and then he had the good sense to get up and make a reflex save on the rebound. I thought it was brilliant all day, and what a way to answer after that. That blunder at Stoke. I thought it was absolutely superb on Monday.
Sure. Probably shows a little bit of mental strength from a young keeper as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's not made that many. I think that's probably his first howler that's resulted in a goal. Yes, he's probably been a bit poor in saving things, or should have been in a bit of position. But I think that was his first real goal scoring howler, and then for him to actually turn in that performance yesterday with not just a penalty save, he made a couple of really good saves as well. Like I said, double save, but then there was a couple down to his right-hand side again. It was a good, mature, mental performance from him, I think I'm going to say. And rightly so, he did win our, you voted him, your guy's man of the match. Jay Bloggs is reporting Pierce Charles's distribution was better than any keeper in the division. I think that's a lot he's been levelled at him about that, his distribution. There's been a couple of times that I've not seen that myself, but I'll give him props for yesterday's performance. Absolutely fantastic. We'll carry on in the first half. Windass had a great chance. Ball come over from the left. He hit it first time volley, and it fizzed past the far post really low. Good chance from Windass. And then just before half time, I've got Bannon with a poor pass and Force, who missed the penalty. It's the shot low to Charles's right side, and a fantastic save by Charles from just inside the area he was. So we'll get into second half. What were you guys were all there? I was just getting home from the airport. What were your thoughts at half time? Obviously, we know what we've been like since New Year's Day at home. Even though Middlesbrough didn't, they had one other chance apart from the penalty what I've just mentioned, and we didn't offer very much in the first half. Stevie mentioned it earlier about the 45 and then the 45. Did you think that this is it? We've had the crap 45. There is a good 45 in Sheffield Wednesday. Will it be this second half? Simon, was that your thoughts at half time, or was it I need a pie? I'm cold. I
actually thought we had a bad 21 minutes. Then as soon as the penalty save and the clearance, we became a different side, and so did Middlesbrough. We then became the dominant side in the team. I don't know whether Middlesbrough also then suddenly started going, hang on a minute, we haven't finished them off here with this penalty. They started getting a bit jittery, or it was down to the fact that we just suddenly went. It was that switch that we needed to turn around our performance. And if it had gone 2-0 down, I could actually have seen us capitulating because the crowd weren't up for it. The players didn't look up for it. But then as soon as Charles made that save, made that double save, and then I can't remember who cleared it after that as well, because that was as good a clearance as the two saves before as well, because it just got it out the area. And then, to be honest, at half time, we were all actually pretty upbeat. We thought we've played a lot better despite being 1-0 down, a lot better since the penalty save.
Oh, apologies. What were your thoughts, Stevie, half time? Were you in the Molly camp and you were ready to go home?
No, because despite everything that we're talking about, 1-0 is, given the stats in terms of from a losing position, 1-0 is effectively, I know this sounds perverse, it's effectively a 0-0 for us, isn't it? Because we've shown that we can come back. And to everything that Simon said, as you walk out, they'll put the stats up, and we walked up to get some food and what have you. And you look right, you see the scoreboard. Yeah, they had more of the possession. They had the majority of the possession, but it wasn't significant. However, we had more shots. We had more shots on target. I think we had more corners. We were better with the ball than they were. I think if you look at the stats, if you have a sort of a deep dive, they passed the ball significantly more than we did on Monday. However, I think we had 25 shots over the course of 90 minutes. Their keepers had to work harder. We've had. We're probably going to put the stats up in a moment or two. We had 40 touches of the ball in their box, so that sort of talks about the kind of game that it was. Once we'd saved that penalty, I thought it was a bloody good game of football, to be honest with you. Forget about standard, forget about this team is outstanding, this, that, and the other. It was a typical. It was a great advertisement for the Championship. It was end to end, blood and thunder. I thought we were value for it. We were the better side at half time for me personally. We're going to go out second half. We're going to have a look at where we are. There's an opportunity for us if we start well. We're going to go on, get something out of this game, and it came to fruition.
It was mentioned we're getting to the second half because I know the boss in on lights, we can go all night really, but he wants us to try and clear it down. But we're getting to the second half, and someone mentioned in the comments earlier about Pato's performance and his crossing ability on yesterday, and you saw it for our equaliser. I mean, the cross came in from Pato on the right hand side. Smith hits the upright, ball bounces out to Masaba. Ingles and then passes it to Ingleson, whose shot is fluffed. I think the easiest, and Windass is there to tap in for what was his 52nd goal for Sheffield Wednesday in 180 games. It's not too bad for a person that's not a striker, is it? Really, in a poor team at times, should we say? At times, tapped it in. He's on the floor. He gets up. And he says something to the fans, doesn't he? He has a bit of a chew back. Did anyone catch that? And what was it all about? Anyone seen it on social media today? I mean, apparently he's swore and said some unsavoury things, but I don't know exactly what. Steve, do you know what he said? And has he a right to say that?
I didn't.
No,
I didn't see it. I can only comment based on the things that I've heard, and I believe he's directed a couple of expletives towards the fans, and I'm assuming that's because of him and some of the comments that were being made. The comments are coming through now. He's sworn at some of the players that have, at some of the fans towards the front of the Kop. I did see him gesticulating and sort of mocking a little bit in on the replay, but I couldn't sort of attest to anything that he'd said. In the moment, at the time, I wasn't thinking, "Oh my God, Windass, what are you doing?" I'm thinking, "Bloody hell, it's 1-1, and we've got an opportunity now to go on and get a second goal."
Yeah. I thought when I saw it in the highlights, and he turned, he obviously slid in, so it turned, and just where he turned from the right hand post, it looked like it was in the direction of your two favourite female podcasters, Holly and Charlie, and I didn't know if he was going to go like this or tell them to F off or whatever, because they do get a bit tasty at the football, them two, when they're together. So
maybe Holly wanted to lick his face, and he told her where to get off. What is? I've got it here. We've got it here. There was a tweet, 52 goals for Sheffield Wednesday, which is a great thing. He goes ahead of Marcus Tudgay, and he's the highest scoring Sheffield Wednesday player this century or
this
something
century
like that.
in the last 25 years. So in 25 years, he's the highest scorer so far.
Yeah, which is not to be sniffed at, really, is it? Come on, it's for all what he's been.
What it is.
It is, I know, and there was something that went out just a couple of hours ago before the show started that he put something on LinkedIn about 52 goals. See how far we can go for the last two games or something like that. So hinting that he may be moving on in the summer. So
I think we've got that, mate.
I'm sure we will.
Well, he's linked every off season. I think it's usually Brazil or somewhere else.
I'm sure we're going to talk about the ins and outs in the close season anyway. So That's it. How did it feel? So, did you guys, and I'm asking you guys, and anyone in the comments, if you were there, your thoughts was 1 goal. Were you confident that the second or maybe even the third would come? I know you don't, because you all said we were going to lose, all 3 of you. So, but I mean, in the moment, John.
Yeah, I think the momentum swing was there, somewhat even leading up to half time, as we mentioned before. Then coming out second half and straight at them from the get go. I think that momentum swing and then converting that, pressure into a goal with Windass there at far post. All the momentum with us. The only thing we had to guard against was the complacency that we sometimes having. Well, not sometimes. We've had it a lot with this season where we get caught with a sucker punch or a silly goal, but with some poor defending. But I definitely felt there was a winner in the game for us. The momentum swing was evident, and we were just going at them, weren't we, with hammer and tongs? And yeah, I definitely felt that the tide had turned there. I was a bit in the back of my mind, just getting worried about getting caught on the counter or something. But yeah, definitely, you could see the momentum swing.
Just before I move on to you, Simon, about it, then we've had Ben on saying apparently the tweet from Josh Windass's LinkedIn was a fake account according to his mum. So he's got a letter from his mum. So like all good lads. So it's then, and Craig said his mum has said it's come from a fake account, to be fair. So hands up if it is, then apologies to Josh if you're listening, accusing you of that. So might as well put it out there just in case. I know some players do listen or watch, but I don't think Windass would be one of them.
Cam Dawson, a big fudge fan, isn't he, apparently?
I think he's more of a chocolate chip cookie fan than fudge, but Stevie, did you think at 1-1 it was going to be 3 points for Wednesday?
I thought if there was anybody that was going to win the game at 1-1, I thought it'd be us. If I'm honest with you, I thought we'd had the momentum, and we'd had the lion's share of the opportunities and the chances, and their goalkeepers worked a lot harder, ironically, than our man of the match goalkeeper on Monday. So yeah, I was quite confident.
I think a lot of people online were saying, and some of the guys in the comments here said Masaba changed the game when he came on. He thought he looked like the player that we're hoping that he looked at. Harpo speaks. Pleased for Masaba, get loads of stick because he's frustrating at times, but look at his numbers, can't deny his goals and assists. Well, I keep saying it, if you're a stats wanker, you love all that, don't you? So, excuse my language as well, sorry. Scotch 24, last season Masaba made an appearance. Yeah, and Matt Strickland's gone. Masaba looked lively again when coming on. And speaking of the man Masaba, I've got down here. Masaba plays a ball out to Pato, and another crossing from Pato into the middle, and what can only be described as a bit of a scramble, a bit of a melee, which we've seen at Hillsborough before in the dying minutes. But this time it went Sheffield Wednesday's way as Masaba gets himself in, and the goalkeeper kicks it against him, and it goes in. So he knew probably nothing about it in the 89th minute, and the cop end, and probably all sides, well, 3 of the 4 sides went mental. Good time, Simon.
Yes. It was Scotch 24's just put there. QPR flashbacks. Yeah. It was. Middlesbrough went full Sheffield Wednesday on themselves, and it was the Marx brothers of defending. Yeah. And it just so happened that Masaba was also in there, and like you say, I think it just came off his heel and went into the back of the net. It was going in eventually, just whoever it was going to come off. They were determined that we're going to score an own goal. I thought he was lively when he came on, Masaba. I really did. But he was running down a few blank alleyways sometimes, and he does like to pull a shot off when actually the pass is probably the better option. We had both sorts of Masaba. We had last year's Masaba, and we've had this year's Masaba in that game. But he definitely brought some legs to the game. If can I shout out to Ingleson? I thought Ingleson had a great game as well. And I don't know what you're going to talk about Shea Charles as centre back, but you know what? he was just immense as centre back, absolutely immense with Otabeo. And it's a shame Otabeo didn't win, didn't score that header. Was that just before we got the winner, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
just
a
headed
that,
wide. Yeah, yeah. I thought he had a good game. I think he's still got a lot of learning to do, like a lot of the young kids. But yeah, it was the goal we needed. It was great. A lot of us didn't know what to do because celebrating goals at home, second win this year. That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? That we've only won 2 at home this year.
Yeah.
So
before we just wrap it up with we've had. Oh, sorry, guys. What's up?
I know what Steve's smiling at. What are you going to say, Steve?
I'm not. There's a comment, but that's not what I just wanted to. I just wanted to just sort of eulogize about the goal, if I may. It was the biggest juxtaposition of a goal that we've scored. I know it was a winning goal, and we'll talk about it being scrappy as hell. But if you go back and look at that goal, it was the build-up play was absolutely outstanding. That was prime top 5 Sheffield Wednesday. We're on form, where we're pushing for the playoffs. Danny Rule's the next deity, blah, blah, blah. It was that level of performance that we've seen previously. It was a flashback to the excellent football that we've played at various points this season. And if you don't mind, I haven't told you that I've done this. I've had a look and counted. There was only 9 passes. But of those 9 passes in the build-up to that goal, it started with the goalkeeper and it included 9 players, including Smith, if you scramble on the line. So, you know, Charles has played it out. And I know I'm geeking myself out as a bit of a stat, what here. But I thought it was the build-up play was absolutely phenomenal. 1-touch, 2-touch play, bar a little sort of 2-3 second phase that Marv had. Pierce to Valerie, Valerie to Armstrong, Armstrong to Bannon, Bannon to Armstrong, to Palmer, out to Marv, back to Armstrong, Masaba, Pato, and then the cross came in. There's a little bit of a scramble, and then Masaba scored the goal. The only people, based on what I've just read there, the only people that didn't touch the ball were Shea Charles and Josh Windass. And that was without response to the Middlesbrough. So if you want to talk about, it was scrappy, the build-up play was absolutely phenomenal. If there was an advertisement, for a team goal, that was it.
Yeah, prime Barcelona. That's what you're saying, isn't it? But what I was going to say just before I finished up was, Simon, there was another centre-back who came on with an eye from Ben.
I am sure Ben owes Steve money. He owes Stevie money. It's got to be.
I think we've found the chairman and the deputy chairman of the Parma fan club.
2 members.
Of the 2 members, of Stevie and Ben, because Ben always comments and backs Stevie up on everything Parma related. But just before we close of Middlesbrough, Charles had the final say, didn't he? Great save from close range. And then, what was his name? From Burzog. And then Conway smashed it against the bar. Full-time whistle, 2-1. Wednesday win at home. Ole, 3 points. Love it. And it was a great bank holiday Monday. So just a couple of things. I know we've done 2 matches. We've done a shocking loss away at Stoke and a home win. And we've only just got to an hour and we've done the games. But obviously, yesterday as well, there was a well-publicised protest on 10 minutes. And there was some people that was from the trust, and then some people as well have put out that to wear yellow. I wasn't there, guys. Was it well received? Was there many people in yellow? Probably not with the coats, because there's not many yellow coats unless you work on the railway or on the road works. What was it? Was it I haven't seen it, so I can't say. 10 minutes. Did people turn around again?
It didn't feel as prominent as the previous one, if I'm honest with you. There was a lot of noise in and around the ground when it got to it was Oxford, wasn't it, that we did it? It didn't feel like that. And certainly sitting in the stand, there were pockets. Admittedly, there were pockets, but it wasn't en masse. I don't think it helped that Middlesbrough scored just as people were starting to stand up and turn around. So it became a bit of an issue. So that was a thing. I didn't feel like there was a huge protest there, and I certainly didn't see swathes and swathes of yellow. Again, pockets here and there, Typically, I'd go into the fan zone. I didn't go in yesterday. I'd ended up going for lunch somewhere else and dropped into the ground. So I pretty much parked up and went straight in. I don't know what it was like outside and around the ground, but it wasn't. People will say it may say it was successful. It didn't hit like the previous one to me, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, and with the wearing yellow, like I said, it's hard and pissing it down with rain into. You're going to be having your coats on. You may have got your away shirt or your, I don't know, Happy Eater t-shirt on from years ago under there. But there we are. A couple other bits of Sheffield Wednesday worthy news. You may have seen an article from the well-renowned journalist Alan
Nixon.
Alan Nixon. So we're looking for a new owner, aren't we? So why not this guy? Look at this guy. Anas Sefroui, someone like that. Moroccan billionaire, property developer, cement magnate, has been linked to buying Sheffield Wednesday, who then put out a statement saying, I don't know who you are, never heard of you, I don't know where you've got this information from. But I'm sure journalistic integrity and Mr. Nixon has got it from somewhere. You can't just print bollocks, can you? So he must have got it from somewhere, but they've been rebuffed. So
I think the only positive that's coming out about this, Ash, is that people are actually rumours are starting to go around that people are looking at buying us, whether it's from the stuff that's flying around on the socials, etc. But anything that sort of then somebody does pick up on it who does want to buy a football club, it's got to be positive, isn't it? Because while it's been mentioned, somebody might actually be out there looking for a football club, not somebody's making up. He's supposed to be, he's gone down the route of who's the richest man in Africa? Oh yeah, he's worth 1.5 billion. He'll buy Wednesday, won't he? So
Yeah, I mean there is a lot of thing going on in there. We've had Simon being on Wednesday Till I Die again with another podcast talking about the investment and all the possibilities of selling the club. So they're doing that thing, no doubt. He's doing whatever he needs to do for that. But then stories will always come out, won't they now? There will always be somebody trying to get an angle somewhere. And if it's somebody leaking something to get a bid in or whatever, but then we've still got the minutes from the engagement panel to come out. So they does he want to sell? Does he not still want to sell? I've not got a clue. Because
I think a lot of what's going on at the moment, and I know that I've spoken to you today, Ash, and I'm not going to say anything controversial. I'm not going to do anything because I'll say it every week until there is actually something to say. When Dan did his one-off a couple of weeks ago, he used the line, "We're here to report the news and talk about what's going on. We're not trying to break anything. We're not going to sit here tonight and go, I know this and I know that, and I've got a mate who's ITK and this, that, and the other." Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of the issues at the moment that are going on social media are because people are saying things that they shouldn't be saying, and they're reporting news that isn't yet news. And it's akin to me announcing that I'm going to be father to a son, and in 9 months' time I've got a daughter. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of moving components that are going on. It's the worst analogy in the world, that one. I'm so sorry.
Congratulations.
Yeah. In 9 months' time. Yeah. Mrs. Spencer's in the next room having kittens. No, she's not. That's the wrong.
Just the worst gender reveal ever.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly.
Yeah,
I'm
Steve
sure
is right. Yeah, sorry, Stevie. Sorry.
I was just going to. Ultimately, things will come out, in the press. Don't believe everything you hear. Choose to believe what you want. And again, it's not a public service announcement on behalf of the Wednesday week, but we won't be commenting until there's something to comment on. And at the minute, we are privately in our own little group chats, we will share stuff and we'll have a laugh at the latest rumours and so on and so forth. But until there is concrete evidence, and the one thing that I would say, when it comes to the things that are being said, the most reliable sources, and I'll drop names, and the most reliable sources for me are people like Alex, people like Joe, even to an extent people like Rob Staten, who have got that direct line to the club. And if they're not reporting things, then it tells me that there's nothing to report. So
maybe
we'll get to it when we get to it, and it may come out tonight, may come out tomorrow. There may be more to talk about, but from a Wednesday week point of view, that's where we're nailing our colours to that mass. Not gender revealing.
I mean, Matt's just asked a question here, and we've seen it today because. Well, I have, because I spend quite a lot of time on social media, especially Twitter and all that sort of good. Are we paying HMRC today? So there has been some reports today that the HMRC bill's due today, and I think Friday for this month's wages, or last month's wages, should I say. Once again, I don't know anybody. None of us know anyone, the ins and outs of things, so probably we'd report what's being stuck on social media or from a news outlet. So I don't know. But if this show goes out obviously now and release it later tonight, if it comes out tomorrow, then we'll talk about it on next week's show. I know it'll be probably 6 days later, but do you know what I mean? We can only do what we've got here at the minute. So
as they say in this neck of the woods, it'll all come out in Wesh, won't it?
It will. Hurgle McGurgle, gossip is tiresome, but we're all desperate for info. Tale as old as time. That Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? I'm not going to start singing. I'm not going to start singing.
I think the issue is that we all see that the way forward is where we're going at the moment. We can't keep going where we're going at the moment, and we need to see change. And I think that's what we all want. So that's why people are taking every bit of gossip, every bit of news item, and just basically looking at it and going, and clinging to it for a bit of hope. Until somebody's revealed and they're stood there in the middle of the pitch, whether it be one person or 10 people or whatever it may is.
Male or female.
Male or female.
I think Craig's just said, and to be fair, are the club likely to come out and say, here, we've paid the tax man? They just won't do it. No, I think it's the self-reporting, isn't it? You have to self-report if you're not going to pay. And that goes straight on the EFL embargo list, because I believe if we've got, as soon as we don't pay, I think we've got a three window transfer ban, because I think the 30 days we've used up, I think we're on day 30, so we can't go above that. And once again, I'm only just going on what I've seen online, because to be honest, it's a minefield for anyone. So if you're really confident in it, that's it. And Chef Cam, exactly, Simon. Folks are desperate for good news, and they do. They do, don't they? They want to know what's happening. And it to be the news that they want, and what probably 99% of the fans want at the minute. So
yeah.
Guys, I'm sure there isn't, because we can't really have any more. But is there any other business that you would like to bring up? No. Well, that's great. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on the Wednesday week.
Oh,
go on. Oh.
Yeah, we haven't done this tonight. All the socials are on the bottom. Yeah, and I'm deliberately sounding like it's not for next year's. We spend a lot of time putting out all this content and what have you, and we'd really appreciate it if you could just take a moment. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, a subscribe, bang on to your mates, and get them to get involved as well. Anything that you see and you're sharing would be really appreciated, because, like I said, we're doing little bits here and there. We've just come off the back of the Easter egg drop and the collection, where we've collected a hell of a load, and it'd be fantastic if we could get a little bit more support and just get our profile raised, so we can continue to do all that good stuff that we're doing throughout the year. So please like, subscribe, share content, comment, get involved. It means the world to us.
And thank you for the 2 people who listened to you, because they just got 2 likes then. Oh, we've got 4 now. Oh, thank you. Well done, Stevie. Cheers. Everyone. Yeah, I've been Ash, your host for this evening, because Dan's still sunning himself. Thank you, Stevie. Thank you, John. Cheers, Simon. It's been a pleasure as always. We will be back next week on our usual spot of Monday, 8 p.m. Please come join us. All the guys in the comments, thank you very much for commenting, getting involved. Love you all, and see you. Portsmouth next, isn't it? Home game, Portsmouth.
Yeah.
See you all later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.